Jordan 1's, off-white 1's, fragment 1's. These are sneakers that you could create. With the right knowledge and equipment, you could create your own. Let's get right to the first step. So you're gonna need a shoe that you're gonna be using for the soles as well as the uppers to create your own pattern. So you want your own shoe. As you see, we already took the soles off of it. This is the first step. Take the soles off of the upper. From here, we're deconstructing this and making our own patterns. During the pattern making process, this is where you wanna definitely take your time, learn the construction of the sneaker. This is where you get to learn the insides and the outs of, for example, the Jordan that we're working with right now. You get to learn how it's created so you could create your own. Each piece of the upper is measured precisely to what it's supposed to be, so you definitely want to take your time with this. You want to get all your patterns correct so your upper isn't off. Here's a toe that I traced out for my Spider-Man Air Force 1's. If you haven't seen that video, check it out right there. This is a toe that I traced out. As you can see, I got all the lines around it as well as a spider on the inside that I'm going to be cutting out. This is just an example of some of the patterns that I create, but this is what you want to do. Some really hard paper that's nice and durable. You want to trace the patterns out, and now from here we could cut out our materials. Now cutting out materials, this is where the shoe definitely comes to life. You got veg tan leather, you got chrome leather, you got fake leather, you also have exotic leathers. What feeling do you want? What weight of the leather do you like? They all vary from up high heavy leathers all the way down to super thin leathers. Now I personally like to use very thin leathers for the liner and very thick and heavy leathers for the upper that feel really nice on the foot, especially when you construct the sneaker. Now I've played with other materials before. This is where you get to play around with whatever you'd like, maybe cut up a bag, use the leathers on that. This is where you get to be very creative, use different materials as I mentioned, but from right here, let's pick them out, trace out our patterns on them, and get it ready. I got a secret for you. This is how you buy the best leathers. Now whenever you're buying leathers, so many people throw in this term, genuine leather. This term means that if there is any leather into the material, that means that it could be sold off as leather. Whenever buying leather, go to a local store. If you can't, then look up the best recommended ones on YouTube. There's a couple out there that are really good. There's also a couple ones out there that are really bad. There's like 2 or 3 places that I stick to. I'll mention that in a later video if you are interested. I also have that in my course. That being said, I definitely recommend going in person, feeling it out, seeing what different type of materials you want to use. Definitely stick to something very simple if this is your first sneaker. Show up on the chart right here. It's all labeled the different grains. The very top is some of the best, all the way down to the looser the fibers and the more area and space in between them. This is a fake leather. You can definitely tell from the back side as well as the front side. It's a little bit more stretch here as well. It has a lot of give. Now this is a lambskin. It's very soft and buttery on your foot. It's very nice. I love this. This is some of my favorite leathers. Something like an exotic. This is crocodile belly. As you can see, it looks very nice. This is very expensive though, and it's very hard to deal with. You definitely got to learn how to use other leathers before you get to exotics, but this is some of my favorite material. If you're getting any value or entertainment from this video, definitely smash that like button as well as subscribe. Turn on notifications. It really helps out my channel. I'm giving away all this information that no one else is sharing, making your own Jordans from scratch. Now let's get back to the video. Now all the materials that I use are cut manually by me. Good old scissors, leather scissors, as well as a box cutter. All these tools are in my shoemaking kit on my website, laceupcustoms.com. Now you need a stitching machine in order to stitch all these panels. This is my Consew 29BL. This is my industrial sewing machine. You definitely need a heavy duty machine, an industrial sewing machine. I got all the links to all the sewing machines that I recommend down below, but this is what I use, a Consew 29BL. I would recommend for you, for everyone out there, to go with a post bed. I do have the link for this down below. I got another model as well, but I recommend a post bed, an industrial sewing machine post bed. You're gonna learn a lot more, and it's a lot easier for just the average beginner. Now a common question I also get all the time about my machine, about others' machines, is what needles am I using? Now for me, I'm using a 135 by 17. I do not recommend for you to use that because each machine has their own size for needles. Personally, mine's a 135 by 17. It is right there. It's also in all the sewing machine manuals. You can look it up on the internet. But if you're ever, confused about what needle you're using, Google it, look at your manual, and it'll show you. But that being said, we got all of our threads right here, so we're gonna thread it up and start stitching the leather. Now we got an upper ready to go, but the next step is the lasting process. How are we gonna last it what is this? It's like this ancient term that I've heard. Well, first of all, last comes first. The last is the mold, the shape of the inside of the sneaker that we wrap the leather all the way around to give that shape. For example, the sneaker we're creating today is an Air Jordan 1. We're getting the inside mold of a full-on Air Jordan 1. And just like that, we got the full-on inside ready to go. This is a last. We're now gonna get our upper, wrap it all the way around. We do need nails as well as a lasting border on the bottom. That's available on my website as well, link down below. But from right here, we're gonna go on, last it all up, and get it ready to put on the soles. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of steps into creating your own Jordan. All we got next is applying the sole as well as finishing up the lasting. Stitch that mid thread onto the midsole and the sneaker's finished. But as you can see, there's lots of time, tedious work. If you put in that practice, you put in that time, you're definitely gonna create the best shoe. The sneaker is all lasted up. As you can see, it's lasted on the bottom. We also have the last on the inside. All we gotta do is glue up the bottom of the sole. For example, we have some soles laying around right here. If we glued each piece, we put them together. After that, we take the last out, throw in the midsole. So from right here, let's add some soles onto our sneakers and create a full-on upper. Now, this is everybody's favorite part of the sneaker making process. This is where I pull out the lasting mount, I throw on the upper, and I de-last all the sneakers. I got all the videos, I got all the sneakers that you've seen in the past. I de-last them at the very end. Everyone loves them. They're all over my Instagram. Check that out, Laced Up Customs on Instagram. Now, before we get to the next step, definitely share this video with another sneakerhead. Show them the sneaker that you're going to be creating. But this is a step that everybody loves. You throw on the full-on upper, you take the last out of it, and you're holding your full-on complete sneaker. Something that you've never thought you'd be able to do, but now you have your own sneaker in your hand. Now, we went from this to the start of the video all the way to our very own handcrafted sneaker. If you want to create your own just like this, join my shoemaking course, link down in the description. I walk you from start to finish how to create your own Jordan from scratch. These are different leather techniques that you can apply to any other shoe, not just a Jordan, but something like Air Force 1's, Adidas, New Balance. These are all techniques that you can apply to different shoes. Now, what are you waiting for? Join today, link down in the description. Make your own Jordan like this, and I'll see you with your own customs.